Stop scrolling. Look at this screen. What you see right here is a completely automated product hunt lead generator. On the left, you see that this is an entire list of every single product launched in Product Hunt today, along with the enriched information with the emails, phone numbers, Discord, and other social media that you can reach out. And on the right is my email marketing that has been sent directly to the inbox automatically without me ever lifting a finger. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to automate the whole process using n8n. If you're in B2B sales or marketing, Product Hunt is a gold mine, but mining it is actually very hard. You have to find every day the list of products that has been launched today, click them, see the website, find any contact email, phone number, any Discord, any social media, and then bring it to a separate Excel file where you can mark which lead you have contacted, and then send them an email offering your product or services. But by the time you do that, 50 other agencies have already spammed their inboxes with offers and solutions to any problems that they might have. You are just too slow, and manual data entry is where the lead generation dies. Today, we're deleting the whole manual process. We're building a logic first workflow on n8n that does three things. First, it monitors Product Hunt for newly launched products every single day. Second, it goes into those websites and finds the founder, the director, the CEO, or any decision maker in that company. Third, it saves the information and also directly sends them a cold, personalized email directly to their inbox. We're going to be offering our product and services directly before any other competitor can do so. Why does this work so well? Because timing is everything. When a founder launches on Product Hunt, they are just glued to their inbox. They are looking for feedback, they're looking for traction, they're looking for new users, and anyone who can offer them help to scale their business from zero to hero. And if you offer your solution while they're still sipping their morning coffee, then you are not spam, but you are a timely solution. And this gives us the first mover advantage to offer any product or solution before the founder has time to review another alternative. And the best part, we are not using some expensive enterprise software. We are using n8n, which is free to self-host or to run cheaply on the cloud. This isn't a theory video, it's a build along. I'm going to show you exactly how to build this whole workflow until it works for you and your business. We're going to cover a lot of things on how to get API keys for Apify to scrape Product Hunt. Then we're going to see how we're going to store this information in an Excel file. 3, we're going to set up our email template so that we can blast them with any of our product and solutions. And 4, how we can handle multiple types of errors so that we don't send the duplicate emails and we don't get banned while blasting our services. Grab your coffee, open up your n8n instance, and let's dive in on how this whole thing works. So first thing that we need is to log into our n8n account. n8n is a simple automation software that allows us to connect A to B and build a whole logical workflow to get our full automation completed. There's multiple ways to use n8n, but my favorite is to register for the cloud account. It makes everything simple from connecting your credentials to managing full access of your workflow. So you need to enter a few details like your full name, your company, email, then you confirm your email address, your password, your account name, the simple registration process, and then we're going to go ahead and start our 14-day free trial. And it then starts about like $20 per month, but you can have other options like self-hosting it or using it in Hostinger, for example. Once you finish registration, you should see something like this. It's an empty workflow where you can directly import any existing code that we have. For us to make everything simple, we're just going to import from file from the n8n.json. If you want the file, you can go ahead and see in the description below where I've attached a link to the full workflow. Once you have imported the file, it looks something like this. I know it's still looking a bit complex, but trust me, it'll be very simple once you understand how it works. So on the left hand side, you see the full technical setup. It includes important links like how it works, as well as the setup guide and the Apify actors that we use. So in this whole process, we use a lot of Apify to scrape Product Hunt as well as the contact information. It has how can we configure the build config node, how can we create and assign the credentials, and also how to create a data table. So in this whole workflow, we're going to test a lot of things, but first we're going to save it. And we're going to go back to our main n8n page and press the data tables. We're going to create our first table. where we're going to store multiple information. We're going to name this as product hunt, and we're going to start it from scratch. Go ahead and press create, and you should see a simple table created, but it has no rows and no columns. So we're going to go to the top right and press add column, where we're going to enter key, add the column, and we're going to add another column. We're going to call it values. So this way we can have a key value pair and enter the variable name as well as the variable details. This is going to help us a lot when we're going to store information in the future. Once everything works, you see on the URL, you have your little code at the end. We're going to copy that and bring it back to our n8n. We need to go click the build config node and change the data table ID to the one that we was just created. So then we're going to go ahead and press save, exit, and just try the whole thing again. This makes sure that our whole workflow knows which table are we referring to. We're going to save all the information to Google Sheets. So we're going to go ahead and create a new credential for Google Sheets. Because we use n8n Cloud, we can directly sign in with Google, making the whole setup process simpler. If you host it yourself on a cloud, then it might take a little bit more configuration in Google Cloud Console. But otherwise, you can just connect it easily using n8n Cloud. Once your whole connection has been successful, we're just going to name it so that we know which account is correct. So this is the email I have used for this whole workflow as well as for Gmail. I'm just going to save that real quick, and we have got our Gmail set up and we've got our table set up. But in n8n, we need to double click on every single G Sheet node to make sure that they're referencing the right account. So we're just going to double click on them, make sure that it refers to the Kan Uhu account, the one that I just created. Maybe if you have created using a different email, it's going to look a bit different, but we're just going to make sure that each G Sheet node refers to the correct file. That part has already been set up, and now everything looks perfect and the way it's supposed to. Next is we need to make sure our configuration is correct. So we're going to press the Apify actors required on the top left. We're going to open them in new accounts. I already have an Apify account, but I'm just going to show you how to register it from scratch. We're going to go ahead and continue with Google, and we're going to register for an Apify account. The Apify account usually doesn't require a credit card at the start, and we can try most of the features upfront for free using the free credits that they provide. And this is more than enough for you to try the whole workflow as well as taste the benefit before subscribing to anything extra. So this is our product hunt scraper on Apify. Don't worry, I'll also leave the link in the description below so you can try it out yourself. And it sees that the price is about $15 a month that we need to pay upfront before using the workflow. But since this is still free trial, we can get access to it. We're just going to go ahead and press the rent actor. And in Apify, some workflows like this one requires us to pay $15 per month plus a little bit cost also per usage. Later, I'm going to show you the full cost breakdown. But for now, we're going to go ahead and try the product hunt scraper. So over here, it allows us to choose how many products we want to scrape, and we can leave it default 10. We're going to choose the date of yesterday because product hunt updates the data every day at UTC times 0. And so it's best if we can scrape one day before or exactly like maybe a few minutes after it has been launched. But for this, I'm just going to test out for 3 different products. We're going to scrape from product hunt. And while it's cooking up, we're just going to quickly go to product hunt. We're going to see the products launch. It's Canary, 2B AI, Instruct 2.5. So hopefully when this whole workflow runs, when this whole scraper runs perfectly, we're able to get all this information and later dive deeper into getting their account, email addresses, as well as contact details. So this is our product hunt, and it's already a little bit running for the workflows. And we're just going to let it buffer for quite a bit. We can see that it's already crawling the launch page. It's crawling the correct products. And yeah, we have a maker ID. We have a few, a state of scraping. And boom, it's done. So after that's finished, it has got the correct product names. It has got a little bit short description, a full description. This is useful if you're going to feed it to AI later on to personalize your email even further. And then it has got like few categories, images of the products, number of upvotes, important information, especially with a website URL. So here we have the contact information, we have the URL, we have a few links. The links are not really valid, I guess. And also we have information. We have the title, the URL, and the website raw text. So we don't have any contact information yet, right? And sometimes, if we're lucky, we do have an email like team at 2B AI, but most of the time it's usually one email which may or may not work, and usually there's no emails attached. So out of the three products, only one had an email. That means we can only send email to one. Now you know that this is not the best way to do things, right? It doesn't make sense for us to scrape about 500 products and only email like a few of them. We want to email as many as we can. So from the data set that we have, we can download it as well in JSON and CSV format. But what we really want is to reuse this information or product run and feed it to another scraper to actually get all the contact details as much as possible. So once we see that the whole workflow of product hunt works, now we are going to see how we can use this URL to get as many contact information as possible. To do so, we're going to use another Apify scraper called Contact Details Scraper. The link is below or as well as in the description. And in this contact details scraper, we can feed in multiple website names and use these multiple website names to get their contact information. So we're just going to manually copy it first before we experiment with the workflow. And we're just going to show you how it actually works and what kind of data are we working with. So we're going to save the minimum pages to start as 10 so that we don't overuse our credits. And then we're going to go ahead and copy all the URLs from the product hunt that we have just scraped. We have the canary, we have 2B AI, as well as we're going to go instruct and get the URL. In product hunt, the URL is almost always available, but the contact information is usually hidden or not available at all. So we're going to use this one to get as many contact information as we can. Previously, we only have 1 out of 3 scrape products contact information. And when we run this workflow, it's usually actually much faster. And we can see that we have already got our details. So we got an additional email from support at 2B AI, and we have got our email for instruct.ai, privacy at instruct.ai. The assignment canary is still incognito, I guess. They have no email attached, but we have other socials. We have like their LinkedIn's and we have the Instagram. We have a few of their social media networks. So we can build a few other workflows around this and can blast them on multiple social media so that we can really grab their attention. And it seems that now with the contact data scraper, our performance is much better. Now we are able to get 2 out of 3 email addresses that we can use to later blast our contacts. There have a few other data available like social media enhancements, but I think this has the summary of everything that we need. The scraping is like super fast, and I think it's very sustainable for us to use this in the long term. Okay, so now that we have got better results, we can also see at the bottom left that some of the usages have been used, $0.16, which is not a lot, but this is only scraping 3 products per day, right? We have a credit of $5 and we're just going to drip feed it with multiple execution queries. So the product hunt cost less than $0.1 and so did the contact details scraper. But again, if you're scraping more items, if you're scraping about 500 items, it's going to cost you much more because we're going to use a lot of runtime from these workflows. Okay. So now that we have identified which 2 scrapers we're going to use and we've already tested them properly, I think it's time that we start integrating them to our workflow. To do so, we need to go to settings and press the API and integrations table option. So in API integrations, we need our own token. We can use the default API token or we can generate a new one and we're just going to call it n8n. After this, it's going to generate for us a separate token. And this bearer token can be used to access our Apify instance from our n8n. So you see a few nodes that we have where we're actually hitting Apify. We need a bearer auth, right? So we're just going to choose the bearer auth account and copy paste the bearer token that we have just got from Apify. Now this information is super useful when we're going to connect to our Apify. So we're just going to call it bearer auth Apify so that we have access to our Apify account. And in n8n doesn't automatically copy to all the other instances. So we just have to double click on all the actors. Whenever you see run actor. And this requires us to make sure that we're using the correct bearer auth of Apify. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and see the whole workflow and see if we can trigger it. I think now that we have already our full setup, now we have our trigger at 9 a.m. And we also need to make sure that we are in the right time zone. To do so, we can go to the settings and choose the default time zone. So this, my default is in Jakarta, but you can change it to New York for better time matching to when it's actually released. I would suggest you to make it to UTC and really at 1 a.m., whenever the product has been launched, or you can just make it at New York at 9 a.m. because it's most of where the founders are based in, either in San Francisco or New York, based on my experience with Product Hunt. But apart from that, I think we have everything that we need. We have our authentication for the tables, for the actors, and we've got everything we need. And then we just need to configure just a few more things to make sure that once the whole workflow has been executed and it has completed an Apify, it gets notified back to the workflow using the webhook that we have. Okay, so to do so, we're going to go to the build config, and in the build config, we can read what other information is required. So we have already changed the data tables, and there we can see that the webhook request URL is still a dummy URL. Is at your n8n.com/webhook/product hunt, because we actually save the webhook differently. If you have a cloud account or if you self-host, it's usually a different webhook request URL. So we're just going to go to the bottom left and you press the receive Apify webhook. You can see over there you have a URL for test URL and production URL. So we're just going to copy the production URL. We're going to go back to our build config and replace the request URL that we have. This informs the Apify webhooks that once you have finished execution, please reach back to me at this particular link and send your data so I can process it. We have a few other things that you can change at the bottom, especially for email. This is only if you want to make it a bit more dynamic, but I've actually hard coded the whole email process and I'll show you that later. Now that once it has received the whole workflow, it's going to start executing the workflow below. So we're just going to go ahead and check if everything is okay. I think the data tables look good. I think we are missing an actor authentication. So we make sure that it's using the right URL and it's using Apify as the bearer auth. Once this has already been okay, we go back. We just check if everything is okay. Fetch dataset items, things look good. And then we see another red node below for the HTTP request. So we're just going to double click. Okay, make sure that we're using the right bearer auth again. And it then doesn't automatically fill it out for you. So you just gotta see each of these nodes one by one and see if you're using the right thing. Let's make sure our G Sheet is also configured to the right account. And yeah, I think things look good. Oh, we have another G Sheet bottom and we have an email account. So now that we already have an email template by default that you can customize later, we just need to make sure that we have the right credential. So we're just going to create a new credential, sign in with Google. And because we're on the n8n cloud, it's much simpler process. You can just choose your account and then provide all the necessary permissions. You grant it all and provide access to our n8n to access our Gmail. Now, this might be sensitive for a few of you, so you might as well create a separate Gmail account which has really focused on just for email blasting and for doing the sales marketing for you. Okay, so now let's just make sure that the log API results also is using the right Google Sheets. And I think in terms of credential, everything is well sorted. Now, this is the email template that I have provided. You can use your own email template, whichever that you have, and you can see that the email template is in the message section below. Usually the easiest way for me to modify this is just by taking the whole thing and the variables that I have and throwing it to ChatGPT and telling it to customize with my brand colors, with my brand logo and other information required. So I'm just going to pull up ChatGPT to show you how I really customize this. Right, so I'm just going to tell it, please customize this whole email template for my brand, which is called the Kan Oo. I'm going to copy paste it and then it's going to change the whole color theme. It's going to change the CTA because ChatGPT is already well trained with what my brand product actually sells. For this one, I'm going to be selling a little bit of green supplements for the gym workout. So we can see over here that some variables are still retained, and these variables are super important because we need them to reference like what's the product name, what's the right email address, and what's the name of the author or like the owner. So these are just very important variables that we need to make sure is retained. So we can see on the left hand side the variables. We have like a few email, we have a name, and these variables are still retained in the new template that we have. So I feel a little bit more confident that the data won't be so messed up. So now I'm confident to bring the code from ChatGPT to copy it and to paste it in the messages. I'm just going to copy it and I'm just going to replace the whole thing with my new HTML format. Also, we have the subject. The subject also needs to be modified because the way I use it for AI and automation service is different from the way I'm supposed to use it for supplement spread. So I'm just going to copy paste the current supplements and growth automation for a particular company product. And then we're going to select everything and we're just going to replace it. And I think the email template looks good. Later, we're going to go ahead and see what it actually looks like when we have already blasted the whole email. But as so far, we have already completed our whole configuration as well as customizing our emails for blasting. So everything looks right in its place. Once we have all the credentials we need, I think we are ready to run the whole workflow. To do so, we're going to move our mouse to the top left beside the schedule trigger and create execute workflow. What this is going to do is going to execute the top half of the workflow executions. The first one is going to create a new Google Sheets where we're going to store all the information regarding the contact leads. And the one below it is where we're actually going to run our Apify workflows. So this thing is all going to run automatically in the background without us having to trigger anything. It also registers our webhook inside Product Hunt Scraper. So that means the Apify is already informed that once you finish your whole execution, please let us know by coming back to us via webhook. This is the way of communicating between the n8n as well as the Apify. And then it's going to create a new spreadsheet from scratch. It's not going to contain anything, but every time you run the workflow, it's going to create a new spreadsheet which looks like this. And this is where all the new information, especially the leads, are going to get stored. And we see that the webhook has already been registered and it has already started executing the daily top products. So if we go to the run section in our Apify, we can see that this is running in the background. It's scrolling 2 out of 5 pages and the product hunt scraper is already turned on by itself. Once it has already done, it also stores the run data in our table. So if we just refresh the table, we're going to see 3 important things. First is the sheet, which tells us which spreadsheet is currently in focus to store our information. And we're just going to expand it a little bit to the size so you can see exactly what I mean. So it has a spreadsheet ID as well as the daily summaries. Then we have the is webhook created. That means we have already informed Apify, so that please don't inform us 2 times or 3 times. As well as we have the run information and the data set ID. So this is going to tell us that once we have finished running the workflow, please inform us via webhook so that we can get the particular data set from Apify and process it ourselves. Once we get the information from Apify, the workflow below is going to get executed. But remember to publish it also so that the whole thing is on production and Apify can reach the correct webhook. So once everything is already been set up, we can see whether our webhook is triggered or not. We can go to the executions tab on the top and we can see that the first execution that was run successfully was our execution, right? This is the one that we ran it ourselves and to run the top workflow. So we have not received anything from Apify yet. This means that the product hunt scraping has not yet been completed. And once we do so, this whole workflow is going to run and then we're going to try the getting the information as required. Okay, so yeah, I guess we can just wait till we get a new information. We can see the executions tab. Again, we still have not yet received any new data. And usually every time the workflow runs is we're going to get data on the left hand side. You see the simple test icon, the litmus holder. That means that we have run it ourselves. But if it doesn't have any test icon symbol, means it's already in production. So we can see that we have another workflow running at the top. And I'm just going to speed it up so you can see how fast it works. So in the background, you can see that it's already getting contact details scraper by itself automatically without us having to trigger anything manually. So we have already completed the whole workflow, and we're just going to go and zoom in to see everything is green. That means the workflow has executed correctly. We're going to press the copy in editor button on the top right, and now we're able to copy paste the whole data and see it visually one by one. So we see in the receive Apify webhook, we have got our data, we have got our product run URL and app run URL. And then once this data has been processed, we're going to inform our data tables that we have already completed the run. So we're going to delete any existing run data that we have. This is so that we make sure that there's no data duplicates or the same data being used twice. After that, we're going to see and get the data set items. So remember the JSON or the CSV format. That's actually the data that we're going to get again in our n8n webhook so that we can convert and process this data correctly. Okay, we see that we have got 3 rows of the product hunt, B2B, and then instruct as well as canary. So perfect. So we've got all our data required. Okay, now that we have all the data that we need, as well as the description, the maker, and the exact same data that we had in Apify, but now we have it in n8n, so we can process it further. We're going to go ahead and loop the items one by one and check their websites. It's important for us to see that their websites are valid and pretty much working before attempting to email them. Sometimes when you go through the list in Product Hunt, some emails is invalid because of the domains is unreachable. Maybe they have a few firewalls or they have Cloudflare installed, but we need to make sure that we're able to reach out to the websites. After that, we have a little bit of code which helps us to map the categories. So this is a manual code in which we map out a few of the product hunt categories into a few more, a lesser amount of categories so that we can work with it better. If this is something that you don't need, feel free to turn it off and modify the code so that it does not automatically map the categories from product hunt to our predefined categories. And after that has been completed, we can see that the whole workflow has run all the way to the very end. We see that we check the owner email exists or not, and for 2 out of 3 times we have the owner email, and we have one false branch for Canary because we are unable to identify the email. So we're not going to send an email to Canary, but we're just going to log it in our database that we have already scraped this website before. And for the websites that are pretty valid, we're going to go ahead and handle the ones with has no email. Right? So for websites that has no email, we can see that Canary has been used on a separate flow so that it does not disturb the process of everything else. Okay. And then for websites that has an email, we try to attempt to get a CC. So when we send an email, we have a CC, and so that we can try 2 or 3 emails without to increase our rate of probability that we're going to hit the right email. And then we see that we're going to send an email, and we have attempted to send 2 emails directly for instruct.ai as well as the B2B AI. Okay, so we have the CC and we see that one of the emails has been sent and the other has an error, invalid email address. So sometimes this happens when the email is not able to be reached. But that's okay. We have already handled a separate flow for all of this. We have already handled how to handle email success, how to handle that email failed or unreachable, or how to handle that there is no email. So once everything has been formatted correctly, we can see that we have logged all the details to our Google Sheets. So the Google Sheets that we have in our Google Drive, which has been created just for this product hunt import, we can see that we have all 3 products listed. We have 2B AI, we have Canary, as well as we have Instruct. We have the exact same information that we had in Product Hunt, but now it's more enriched because we have the contact details. So when we see the social links, we see the contact info, we see it has more enriched because we have already got all our data. We have the primary email, we have secondary email, success status, and then the email sent as yes, no, failed, and this indicates whether we have tried to send the email or not, whether it's been a success or whether there's been no email. So this actually skips the whole manual process of list building as well as getting the information from product hunt one by one and email them directly. So we can see that our product hunt has run and has some cost to it, cost like $0.1. And we see the contact details scraper costs a little bit more when we run it via API compared to when we run it manually. I still do not know why this happens, but you can use this as a benchmark to know how much will it cost per getting contact from each website. It usually costs about $0.1 to $0.5 for getting the contact details itself. Okay, now that we have all the details, I think our whole workflow has run absolutely successfully. And I'm super happy that the build config has worked. Now, if you want to change it, you can change the top end products in the weekly or in the daily to a little bit more. You can try 20, you can try 30, 100, 500, or how much ever you want to scrape per day. As long as your budget fits it, I think it's pretty much to go. So we're going to go ahead and execute our whole workflow again. This time it's going to create another Google Sheet for the new data that we're going to scrape, as well as it's going to run the whole workflow from scratch. So it's not going to continue from a product number 4 onwards, but we're going to go ahead and scrape from product 1 again in the whole product hunt scraper. So we can see that the product hunt is scraping, and I'm just going to like fast forward this so that you can see the results. So we got not 20, but we got like maybe 8 or 9 products. Now, why did this happen? Why did it fail when we want about 20 products, but it only got us 8? So we're just going to debug this, and by copying this to editor is one way for us to see whether which stage actually failed. Okay. So we see that there's an error here, and the error cannot make sense because we wanted 20, but we only got 8 or 9. So this is pretty much lower than our expectations. So we're going to see what the issue is by copying to editor. Okay, we see the problem in node get contact. Okay, so we're just going to unpin the previous data that we have, and then we're going to see the new data that was acquired in the latest execution. So we're going to go ahead and zoom in to the bottom where the problem is occurring. So we're going to get the content scraper, and we see that the payment is required. Perhaps check your payment details. So during our whole testing phase, it seems that we have already used up our $5 credit that we actually got from Apify. So this is a sign from them maybe for us to start paying and to get the whole subscription. So to get it, we're just going to go ahead and try to get a new subscription in Apify, and we see the different packages they have. Free, the $0 per month, the 5 credits, but the ones that I use the most is a starter plan, the $39 a month, because $15 already used up for renting the actor, and then the remaining is just for ongoing credits. We're going to go ahead and see the product import log, and we have about nine products received. So we can see that all the data has been stored perfectly, and we have already sent the email whenever we could, and whenever we couldn't, we have already logged in that we are unable to send the email or the reason for failure. So even though the process has stopped in between, we have already got our money's worth. Now to get the workflow, you can go ahead to this 0m0.gumroad.com for the product hunt lead generator, and it costs about $29 for the whole workflow. But if you require some help for me to get a one-on-one consultation with you, go ahead and choose the setup method. And over here we have detailed outline on how it works, and I've actually inserted a few important details like how to adjust the emails as well as how much it actually cost me per month to run this workflow. I spent about $50 to $60, and I scrape about 50 products per day. So this is actually a big highlight of my cost so that you can estimate on how many leads you want and how much it's actually going to cost you. So we're going to see that the product hunt rental itself costs already $15, and the remaining usage costs the remaining $35 per month. If you want to scrape more, I'm pretty sure it's going to cost you a little bit more expensive. And there are ways to like optimize this whole workflow so that you can reduce the cost yourself. I'm just going to go ahead and show you the checkout flow. So we're going to go ahead and check this out and press pay to get the whole workflow. Once you've already completed the whole payment verification process, it's going to show you a page looking like this with details of the technical setup as well as the n8n workflow for you to download and then copy it directly to your n8n workflow. So we see that the download is successful and it has the n8n JSON that we used earlier. Alternatively, you can join my school community in AIA, which stands for AI and Automation. And it has got about 29 members who are also like builders like you, who are constantly optimizing the way they do sales and marketing for their business, for themselves, as well as for their professional careers. So here we can see that we have different type of workflows, and in the automation workflow is where you can see the product hunt automation, and it basically contains everything similar. So we're just going to go ahead and go to our product hunt lead gen. If you join the community, you have access to all our premium workflows also for free, such as the Shopify blog. And we can see that we have the whole workflow details, the same outlines, the same concept, the same documentation ready for you. And you can scroll all the way to the bottom to find the n8n.json as well as the technical setup. So these are two ways of getting the workflow. We scroll down to the bottom, we can see the n8n.json file, and we can just go ahead and download it. We're going to open a new tab, but then it's going to give you the exact same file as we did from Gumroad. So now you have two options of getting it. There's also the technical documentation. So this is super important if you don't like watching the video or how to set it up, or you need an alternate source of reference. This is the full setup tutorial on giving you full guidelines on how to set up the tables, on how to set up the Google API, on how to set up the Apify, and the different kind of code and structure. So in case you forget something or like you have accidentally changed a few things and it's not working, you can go ahead to this technical setup, and it gives you a full detailed documentation on how to debug, on how to improve the workflow, and also different support resources like joining our Discord community, our n8n forum community, and to see our workflow also publicly on different sites. It also has like multiple like change log on how we have improved this workflow over time, and you can get the constant updates over here. So that's pretty much it from the whole product hunt automation. I really hope that you are able to use this workflow and automate sales processes for your business, for your agency, for yourself, and to promote yourself out there with very few costs. That's it from me, and I hope you really enjoyed this video. Go ahead and click the subscribe button to get recent updates on any new video, any new automation that we have developed for you. And you can go ahead and access multiple resources by subscribing to this channel. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I hope you're able to automate a lot of business processes using this workflow. All right, all the best.